Right, for anybody that doesn't know, my name's Mandy. This is my friend Sue, and in 2006-5 we began to go on mission together to various places, and this year we went to Moldova, and we just want to share for about a quarter of an hour with you how we got on, what God did, and about Moldova.
Yeah, do you know, when you go on these things, you go with teams, and we never take a photo, actually. Might do the odd one with my phone, and that's it. And what we've noticed is that other people have taken photos, and there's usually hundreds. So we go, can we just have it on a stick? All right. And then we do this cherry-picking thing, and that's what we've done. And we just wanted to give you kind of a little beginning, middle, and end here. The first photo is, we all met in this place called Chisinau, which is... took me ages to pronounce, but Chisinau. And anyway, this is in Moldova, and they had a big house. The name of the people we went with was Operation Mobilization. Now, they do say any age can go. Do you know? Not just the 18-year-olds. Any age can go. And so we went as well. We've been with them to other places. And Operation Mobilization is a really good organisation. We can recommend them. You meet together, so there's this massive house with about how many people to start with?
About 200, I would think.
And they're all going, the thing was called Love Moldova, basically, and that's what we were doing. And there was lots of teams, and lots of teams are going in different ways to Moldova to give out the love of God. Some of the young people that we shared the room with actually were going on rafts and stuff like that. Very exciting. We haven't done the raft yet, have we, Mandy? She just can't get the insurance. And
they literally took a raft down a river, and they camped at various places, and every day where they camped, they set up a children's camp, ran the children's camp, got back on the raft, sailed down the river. Got bitten to bits.
Yes, they did.
They got, what did they get? Fleas. When they came back, they had to dump all their clothes because they were flea-ridden.
Yeah, we went on the right one. We didn't do that one. We didn't get the fleas. Right, and so we all, there was 10 of us in this room, which was at the top of this big house. So there's like...
And that's what this picture is.
And that's the picture. It looks just nice and tidy, doesn't it? Have we got another picture of this? Is there another picture of this? Oh, no. Oh, I don't think we've got them in order then. Okay. There is another picture where the house is rather messy when everybody arrives. So you can imagine it's now getting 40-something degrees. There's no fan in this room, and it's given us a taste of what Moldova's going to be. That's it. People start to arrive now. Thanks, Tony. There's no fan in the room. People start to arrive. All the bags are there. First night we didn't get a lot of sleep, did we not? Because they all arrived in different flights. So we didn't gel ever so well with everybody. We were just let's go to sleep, really. And then team starts to happen because God's there. And we got to know people a lot better the next day when we start to worship together before we actually all go out into Moldova. Our particular trip was called Love Moldova Villages. So when we went out the next day, if you can see on this map, roughly in the middle is a place called Chisinau, which is the capital. That's the capital. Then if you go southwest, probably to further down, that's about there was the villages that we were visiting. We went on public transport, which was a delight. With all our bags and our heat and our stuff.
It's a country the size of Wales, 3.5 million people, so most of those are in the capital, so it's very rural.
Very rural. So we get to the first village called Alexanderfeld. We've got no idea what a Moldovan village is like, really. You can look at stuff on the internet, but when you get there, you get to find out. That's a little picture. So these are actually the pictures I took on my phone, most of them. That's the place called Alexanderfeld. That's just their little Russian sign up there. And
I'm going to say from my little book, just some things that they taught us that I think were important. At the OM place, they said to us when we go out, to think of things as not wrong, but different. Because the toilets would be outside, there would be holes in the ground, there would be things that we'd not eaten before, and ways that we hadn't come across before. But we were to start to think that's different but not wrong. And that really helped everybody, because we had on our team people like us who'd been before and other people who'd never been. They taught us that the homes would be small, that there would be a kitchen, a bedroom and a guest room, and often the person living there would give up their bed for us, even if they were elderly. That the appearance of front is important above education and food. Children will be dressed in their best clothes even though they have nothing. So the front of their houses was very important to them, but they had very little inside. They taught us time would be laid back, so therefore be flexible. They taught us that there was not much personal space, and that the culture there is I share what I have.
Which they did.
Coming closer to people, we needed to show respect. So the men, we would shake hands and say pachen, which means peace, or bunaziwa, which means good day. And the ladies, we could give a hug, but in general, don't hug people, because that is the culture. We had to remember these things because it's quite natural to us to come and hug people. It was polite to ask how old you are, which is different from here, isn't it? It was polite to ask how much pay you get. And we were told if we were asked that, we were to say, I receive as much as I need and God makes it enough.
Which is true.
Because if we said how much we got paid and that they didn't realise how much taxes we have to pay, they would think we were millionaires probably. If we gave a gift, it was to be given at the end of the stay. And don't, for goodness sake, say that you like something in the house, because they will have to give it you.
Give it to you. Yeah.
So if you see something that's lovely and you said, oh, that's absolutely beautiful, they would feel indebted to give it you straight away. Never whistle indoors, because it brings bad spirits. It was a superstition there. And for prayers and grace, you must stand or kneel, so you don't just sit. Yeah. The service in church would be about 2 or 3 hours. No clapping unless there were children. No Bibles on the floor. There you go.
Not a lot that was true, but that's the advice they gave us on the first night. Some of the pictures Tony's been showing us of the streets in Alexanderfeld, and there's kind of an air in this country of some people have been there and gone away and left it. And because that's what's happened, Russians have been there, gone away and left it, and there's not been a lot of input with money and things like that going on. The idea of the mission was outreach to children, and also these are the children we took back to the church on the first week. She's such a cutie, we had to take a picture of her. And the outreach to children was important there, because this particular village had recently had a new pastor, and at the moment they only had probably... Can we stop on that picture a minute, Tony? Tony? The next one that you had on. Next one. Can you stop on that? That's brilliant. I just want to tell a story about this young lady, and for you to keep her in your prayers if you can. When I went there, basically I knew it was the children's outreach mostly, and I knew that we were going to be going to people's homes. The people's homes bit attracted me, actually. Kids are lovely. But I know that's Mandy's ministry, and so we have that sort of kind of balance. The first day we were at Alexanderfeld, one of the people in Operation Mobilization, Janet Brown, was talking about she had realised where the village was, very close to a family that she had actually been helping with outreach with. She told me the story. And when she told me the story, I said, well, I think I might be able to help you. And it turned out to be a story of domestic violence that was dangerous towards the children. Dad has already been put in jail for murdering his first wife. And as far as Janet knew, the 2 children, a little girl and a little boy, were still in that situation, and they lived in a small holding not far away from Alexanderfeld. She wanted to go and see them because she knew that the safety of the children wasn't uppermost in Dad's head. It was stepdad, actually. So we set off 9 o'clock on the Monday morning, just having arrived in this village, and let's go along. We have an interpreter, it's a young man, and I really take my hat off to him. God was in this meeting. I just want to tell you this is just so God. As we approach, each of the houses out there has fencing with a big gate, and they all have guard dogs. Various sizes and ferocities of guard dogs. And anyway, this particular day, the three of us approach where we thought they were living. As we approach the gate, before we get into the gate, a man approaches us and starts to ask, what do we want? So the interpreter, Sasha, he starts to speak with him. The man is getting very angry. I realise the man doesn't speak English. My experience to do with domestic violence was then I was able to use it because all I could see was body language. I didn't understand what they were talking about, but I knew the body language and I knew how to stop that sort of body language. So I was able to say to the guy in English, the interpreter, I want you now to put your hands down by your side and just let them go floppy. Let your eyes go wide and smile and say, now we need interpreting. We need to hear what's being said. I want everything to slow down. So he has this sort of thing going in from the sidelines as well, which is me saying how to stand, what to say, and that sort of thing as the conversation's going on. And he did wonderfully. We went from a very agitated, drunken man at 9 a.m, coming at us was going to be fists and so on and so forth, to him starting to, you could see that he started to sort of relax a bit. The conversation was a long one. It turned out that Mum was no longer there. She was he said she was in hospital. Another man had beaten her. Believe that if you like. And the children were with her. So we say to him, thank you very much. And he said, and when you see her, let her know that another member of the family, I'm not going to say too much because there's children. So anyway, basically what he was trying to do was trying to lure Mum back. So we leave there and we go and make a phone call down the road. I'm saying, no, we don't do anything near the place. We're going to carry on as if we're going. We disappear and then we make a phone call to the mayor because that's your social services out there. One person, the mayor. And we make a phone call. It turns out she has been in the hospital, very badly beaten, and now she was staying with a relative near another village. We go and see her at the other village, and she says, yes, she wants to go to the mother and baby unit, which we would call a refuge. And this little girl was with her, Aliona. So we said, okay, get your stuff ready. We're going to take Aliona to go meet some other children and have some fun today, though, eh? So we did that, and look at her face. Anyway, we gave her gifts. Janet had been so kind. She'd prepared gifts of clothing. You know, you've got to be practical. You don't just say, here's the word of God. You do stuff as well. And she was delighted with her new clothes, new toys, things like that. So and her doll. She had been given a doll because one of the things that Aliona had not been able to do in the past was cuddle people. And last time Janet had seen her, her head was shaved because she'd got nits and all that. That's how they dealt with it. So she was delighted to show Janet she's got hair now, delighted she's got a doll, and she's actually holding the doll. This is a little girl that one day ran away at the age of 6, and she's not much older now. She ran away for 2 days because she was so frightened of Dad. And the only thing was she knocked on Grandma's door, and Grandma gave her a piece of bread, told her to go away. So this is a little girl that needs protecting. And you know, this was a God appointment because we were able to go to a local town, get her a place in a refuge, speak with her like I was able to speak with my clients through interpreters, ask her about the guy, where she was with that. We had to talk to her about Jesus. And at the end of the day, she was okay. She was staying there, but we knew that in a couple of weeks those children could have been taken into care away from Mum. if Mum had decided to go back because it was so dangerous. So their care system isn't quite the same as ours, I have to add. And anyway, so I want to tell you a little bit more about the outcome of what I found out since. After our conversation, Mum actually took Aliona and her little brother to a church a couple of weeks after, wasn't it? And had them baptised. And we just thank God that we had that little window of opportunity. And if you remember the name Aliona, will you pray for her? She's a little girl that will need prayers and is getting prayers. And she needs practical help as well. And Operation Mobilization are doing that. It continues. It doesn't finish because we've gone. So I won't hand over to you now.
Okay. Can you put next slide on, Tone? When we were in Alexanderfeld, just keep flicking through the slides unless I say yes. Stop there. This little boy was there. We found him in his home, and he came the next day, and we thought he had cerebral palsy because he was walking like this, with his leg like this, and he seemed to have a stiff arm. We were told he'd had a stroke. His name was Valeric. If you're little out there, you get called Valeric with a K on the end. If his name was Valerie, really, but when you're a toddler, you're called Valeric. And we were told he was waiting for an operation, but it wasn't actually on his foot. It was for a hernia, and the family had no money. So one of the things we were able to do with some of the team put some money in all together to pay for that. We had a physio on our team, a lovely young girl, and she looked at his foot and she said, it's a simple thing, it's not a stroke, and neither is it cerebral palsy, it's just tendons. And the quicker he has it done, the better. So hopefully he'll get that too. But she showed him some exercises with Mum that they could do. He was a smashing little boy, wasn't he?
And there was wisdom about the money, you know. We gave it to the local pastor so the pastor could pay the hospital, basically, because there's such a drink problem out there. You have to make sure, because we're dealing with other people's money as well as our own, you have to make sure that the money is being stewarded carefully.
So Mum was really very happy, and she came along to the church on this day. Keep flicking, Tone. Lovely little children came, very surprisingly. Keep flicking. These children came on their own. I mean, some of them are old enough, but some of them, the youngest was about 3 that came on his own, and the little girl that you saw earlier, keep flicking, Tone, with the little hat on, they came on their own, and they sometimes brought little siblings as well, because the parents were really either not there and they were staying with Grandad, stop there a minute, or grandmas, and their parents were either in other countries, particularly America, or other countries to earn money, and often Mum was left alone with her dad gone, and she had to work in the field for hours every day. They literally went out at 5 and back at 7 at night, so the children were on their own all day. And it was quite hard to negotiate them to come sometimes because they were meant to be working. And actually, there was a 6-year-old this high, and he was quite muscly, and we were playing a game with the parachute, and he was supposed to drag us out. And I didn't really know because I hadn't heard the interpretation, but I was lying kind of under the parachute, and suddenly, whoosh, out I go. And it was a 6-year-old, and I was like, my goodness, it's incredibly strong because they've had to really do muscly things. And muscly things. Lug big bags of stuff, push wheelbarrows, things that kids over here certainly wouldn't be doing. And here are the children, because about 2 or 3 days of the scheme we fed them. So the ladies squashed them all into the kitchen and gave them some lovely tomato soup with all sorts of stuff in, didn't they?
It was 53 degrees centigrade, and most day we had hot soup.
I don't know why you didn't like the soup.
But we ate it, it's good, wasn't it?
It was delicious soup. The good thing was it went round a long way.
Yes.
But basic foods out there for everyone: carrots, tomatoes, peppers, potatoes, homemade bread, and fruit, and very little else. If you wanted rice, you had to go to the shop and buy it. It was quite expensive for them. So everybody grew those things. They did about 2,000 things with the carrots that were different spices, and we didn't turn orange, and it was delicious food. Right, keep going, Tone. So this is a lovely girl, a Russian lady called Irina, and she was teaching the children on making a decision. And this is a picture of the 3 crosses when Jesus was crucified, and on one, with the heaven above, it's accept, just like Sarah was saying earlier. She accepted God. And on the other one, with the fire of hell underneath, was reject. And the children were asked, using this, because we didn't have an overhead, we didn't have song sheets, we didn't have photocopies, we just had what we'd taken out there, which was glue, pens, paper, that sort of thing, colouring. And so this was done on like a piece of scrap paper, and this lady painted it and gave a really powerful message. The children were really taken by the message. Most of the children go to Orthodox church, so they know about God, but most of them don't have a relationship with him, and that's what we were teaching towards, really. Next slide, Tone.
Okay, before put your heads that way.
Keep going, Tone. That's it. And the man at the back is the pastor that was really our guide, guard, and brother, Pastor Jon, which is John in Romanian. Lovely man. And we all made crosses on the last day. There was an air of celebration, I've got to say. There were more children than this. This was just the ones in the church. Keep going. And there's the girls.
This is our transition now. We went from one village to another
Keep going.
For the second week. And this is the next village. You know, the journey isn't that simple either. Has anybody actually been to one of these countries? I've been to Africa, but I've never used Roman loos before. You know, you're used to something's dug out, you've got a pit, that's fine. But 4 in a row with everybody at the bus stop wasn't that good.
It wasn't that good, no. And she didn't know which was the men and which was the women's.
I read the wrong one.
Anyway, when we got to the next village, this is the field. We went to the field. We went round the village the night before to try and drum up some interest, and many of the children were very interested because they'd had 1 or 2 before of these play schemes. So the next day, when we walked about a mile down to the field in the heat with all the stuff and the water, the children were waiting for us. Keep going, Tony. So parachute games were very popular. That's the team eating breakfast before we went. Keep going, Tony. We ate outside. The church ladies helped us so much. Keep going, Tony. Lovely sunsets. This is the night before when we went round giving the children stickers, balloons, telling them. We found these on a sand heap. They hadn't got much else to do, so some of these came the next day. Keep going. And there we are. It was really, really hot. That's me in the hat thing. Scarf. We all wore headscarves just to keep the heat off, really. Though we had been told we needed to wear them in church, but actually the churches we went into were born again and spirit-filled, and we didn't. Keep going. It was a massive field. It was very hot. This is... Where is this?
Yeah, this is one of the houses. This is, you know, we went visiting probably towards the evening where it's a little bit cooler. We went to visit houses with food parcels. The local pastor would know who was in need, so on and so forth. There was a lady that we met, one particular one, because we did go to a lot, that was really on my heart, and she worked so hard. She was so thin, but every part of her was muscle, is all I can say. She was working out, they've got fields there, collecting the grapes, because they make a lot of wine and so on. 2 little children, and anyway, we met her one evening, and I really felt God had a word for her, and he did, and he spoke to her, and I could see he touched her heart. And, you know, sometimes I feel a little awkward on home visits. I've done home visits for years, and you feel like you're intruding, a bit voyeuristic, that sort of stuff, you know. You don't want to be a spectator. You want to be somebody who makes a difference in somebody's life. And in this country, we kind of associate somebody knocking on our door with being 2 people very dressily with 2 Bibles. And over there is not quite the same. We go there and we are trying to be practical as well. We want to offer people the gospel, but also they've got to have food in their bellies. And it turned out this lady had been done over really by a Russian landlord of where she was working, and she'd lost a month's wages and so on and so forth. Well, you do hear a lot of things, and we thought it was pretty genuine. And the gift we were able to leave, obviously she didn't know it was us, but the gift that we were able to leave was through the local church, that someone will be taking some food to her every single week. So that she
right
won't,
through winter, wasn't it?
Right through the winter. So she won't be going without. So she won't have the pressure of no money. The winter is terribly harsh out there. When it's hot in the summer, it's minus the same in the winter. So you know, it was kind of, how can we be practical? But also, you know, we want to show God's love, and that's what we have to do. We go there, and you're looking and you're listening, and you're getting to know somebody in a very small, you know, you might only be there half an hour. What can we do to help these people? There was another story
Keep
as well,
going,
wasn't there?
keep going with the slides. There's the train.
Yes, typical train.
We cross over the track every day. Keep going. Keep going till I say stop. I'll just talk about them as you go there. We are on the roads.
These are our tracks, it's the roads.
Loads of asbestos lying about,
loads
being
of it.
carted about in wheelbarrows.
Local wells.
The well, we couldn't drink from the well because there were
And the
nitrates in it,
roads.
but the locals could.
Yeah.
Very hot, dusty
This is
valley.
us trekking across the bottom of the valley.
So we had,
And
stop at the bridge. That's a good place to stop.
This bridge was made out of our old railway track. You'd be pleased with that, Greg? It was a little bit wobbly, and one of our team was terrified of bridges. But she did it. She conquered that fear. She was 18-year-old, and she did it because she wanted to make a difference.
Yeah.
And she'd only been a Christian for a little while, bless her.
She was a fantastic girl of 18, as selfish as I was at 18. Keep going, Tony.
Yeah.
And everything was torture to her at the beginning. I'm not wanting to come without makeup, but at the end she wrote on her heart, I realised that beauty is more than skin deep.
Yeah.
Well, stop there.
Oh, that's a shower. Can you see it?
It's not a very good picture,
It's a bit of a dark
but
shower, isn't it?
we had this blonde lady in our shower because we lived with an elderly Russian lady, lovely lady called Zina. She had a son who she didn't introduce us to, and we thought he was probably a drinker.
Yeah.
And in the shower, he had a picture of a really blonde, beautiful lady, so we had to shower with her.
You just pretend you're a she.
Keep going. The shower was a faucet above. This is our toilet at the end of this row.
Yes.
The little wooden hut.
Yeah, you can see a little bit of wood up there. That kind of fell off as well. That was the door. We had to stand guard. Got to think about toilets overseas.
We stayed at a local person's house here, so she put us all up in a very hot room.
Yeah.
Keep
Very
going.
hot room that was, yeah. Okay,
Keep going.
the geese.
The little geese out there, they're amazing. Keep going.
Yeah.
They go out in the morning, they go miles wherever they want to go, and then they come back at night. Stop there.
Stop, thank
They
you.
come back at night and they line up at the gate. And you can see them, and it's just a Moldovan, lovely dusk sunset experience. That the sun goes down about 7, and the geese are all lined up ready to go in. It was really cute.
Right, this lady, do you know, I hate taking pictures of people that we're going, you know, into somebody's house. And I said, do you mind if I take a picture of your daughter doing this? She is actually in a wheelchair. I don't know if you can see her legs there. She's in a wheelchair. Her daughter, and this is typical, as you go there, everybody's working. Kids are working, parents are working. This is evening time, they're still working. And they were actually getting the beans out of these husks. And the lady had had an accident a couple of years ago. Been at a friend's house, ceiling had fallen down and it had paralysed her from the waist down. A young lady in her 30s, wasn't she?
2 children.
Full of God. Absolutely full of God, this lady. An example to everybody. She's been baptised in the Holy Spirit, and you can tell. The house was immaculate. It was the cleanest house I'd been in. Husband was an amazing carer to her, a lovely man. And again, just a little thing that we noticed, as he said, please come in. She's outside, they've been doing this, they said, please come in. And as we go in, he's trying to put a ramp up, made of bits of wood, wasn't it? And it was just little bits of wood, and an old gate. And the steps were like this. And so he puts a bit of wood up, and how she got up there, and without the wood breaking, and so on and so forth.
He had to push the wheelchair up, and he was only quite short,
He
wasn't he?
was a short guy, but he was strong. But and then you thought, oh no, her foot's going to get caught underneath the front door, and also. So therefore, we saw the opportunity. they need a ramp. They need like a proper ramp, don't they? So, that has hopefully been done now. And that's the major thing about the home visits. You can make a difference here and there. But they were a wonderful, wonderful family, and she has the attitude of God has given her everything she needs. God is in her life. She couldn't feel better because he's in her life. Whatever's happened to her has happened to her. Okay, that's the way it is. But she says, I'm fine with it. I'm fine.
She was really, really walking through that place in a very powerful way, wasn't she?
Yes, yeah. Okay.
Keep going, Tone. So there is Pastor and his wife, and we're visiting.
Yeah.
Keep going. These are pictures of some of the big families that were gathered in the courtyards, aren't they?
Yeah,
The back one, that's it.
Yeah. This one was the little boy's house that we spoke of earlier on, and we were invited into their home, and this is their home, and another baby on the way, and there's babies everywhere, but again, somebody's inviting you into their home just like that. You're knocking on the door. Okay, we're bringing them stuff, but and very, very positive in receiving you, because they are.
And they all wanted prayer. And little Valeric, amazing thing happened. The little boy that I told you about that walked like that is on the physiotherapist's knee there.
Yes.
Well, she wanted to look at his ankle, and this is a little boy that moves all the time. He just is moving all the time. He doesn't stop for much. And he came. I said to her, it'd be really good if he would come, and so you could see. We thought there's no way. And he walked over and he sat on her knee, and she could look at his ankle. It was just so natural. I'm sure God made that happen.
Yeah.
Keep going, Tone. This is the room we stayed in. Keep going. There were 9 of us sleeping in there, and that's us.
Lots of us in a van.
In the back of a van. And there were people behind us in the back of the van as well. So there were 11 of us all together in the van. Keep going. You can see the sweat, can't you? That's the afternoon nap.
Of exhaustion.
There were 3 in one bed. Along by the girl with the pale blue t-shirt. I was on this bed, Sue's at the end, and we came home one afternoon, and it was so hot, it was like sleeping in an oven, literally, and by then a few of us had a cold type of thing, like loads of sneezing and congestion, and we were quite weary, to say the least. We just went to sleep, didn't we?
It was physically demanding. Okay, some people have said to me, did you enjoy your holiday in Moldova? It was physically demanding, it was. But we want to say to you, if you ever think that you want to go on something like this, it doesn't matter how physically demanding it is, God's in it. And he gives you an anointing to go out to places. There was a harvest of about 70 to 100 children came into the kingdom in that couple of weeks. They gave their lives to the Lord. They gave their hearts to the Lord. They met with him. They knew him. And there were adults as well that gave their lives to the Lord. And, we've seen big harvests in Africa. It wasn't like that. But this was the harvest nonetheless. And long-lasting. A lot of the time I think you go to Africa and it's perhaps somebody else will come tomorrow and say something different, But I think this would be long-lasting. This is a place that they asked us to intercede at, to pray. Sometimes when we go out, we're not just doing practical work, we're asked to intercede over a particular land. It happened in China once. We were asked to intercede and pray to claim something.
Keep going, Tony.
We were claiming this land for the future, for the local area, for young people.
Keep going, Tone. I think there's a few more pictures. Oh, we're nearly
We had to have a well
okay.
one because of the well.
Yes. Okay. I don't know if anybody's completed the word search. Has anybody got? Have the girls got one there? Have they taken it to do? At the bottom of it. Well, at the bottom of it, there was a phrase to make with the missing letters that hadn't been used, and it was this: you can also do this. Yes. Because out of every message I'd want you to hear from all that was just go and do it, because it is an amazing opportunity. And we were talking about this in the car earlier. Somehow when you go away, God puts an anointing on you that is greater than it is here. You can see things more objectively. You can you have to rely on him more. We had to depend on him. We couldn't speak Romanian or Russian, only a few phrases. So we are very much dependent on him, and he really just shines through, and he makes all these opportunities, all these meetings, these chance meetings, doesn't he, like Aliona.
Say about the church the last day.
The church on the last day was lovely. Sue was poorly, so that wasn't so lovely, because I usually rely on her to do most of the speaking. But I thought, I can't let him down, so I took my map and got through this big capital city to his church, and it made my day when I saw him. He was waiting outside the church, the pastor, and he looked so happy that I'd come. So I was really glad I came. The church was lovely. It was born again church, and it's got a little history. It used to belong to the Russians, and they wanted the church, and they were told that they couldn't have it, this building. It's called the Grace Covenant Church, and 4 churches meet in a strategic place, and communists and the enemy, as he's put, that's what he said, used to plan against Christians there. It was a huge old building where communists used to plan against Christians. It was very difficult to rent. They gained favour with a custodian. They were given it free daily for prayer at first after a long battle, and then they were able to rent it. It used to be an army building during communist times. It's now also a museum. So military museum. Yeah, military museum. At the church, I spoke on Romans 5, and it was about hope, because we were told at the beginning, you need to take hope to the hopeless. And I was like, God, how do we do that when people look, there's not much hope there at the minute. So God gave me Romans 5, and that's actually what I spoke on, which is that when you get troubles, they lead to perseverance. Perseverance leads to character. Character leads to hope. And that's what I spoke on. And everybody wanted prayer afterwards, and a lady was healed. I spoke of healing a lot. A lady with a weary spirit was healed. A lady had come for the first time, and this is just how God works. He said, when I was praying for her, he gave me the word vision. And so I said to her, I believe God's wanting to give you visions. Well, she started to cry, and she said years ago, she was a Catholic, and she'd been told, because she had visions, that they were from the devil. And so she was really released into hearing from God. And I said, share it with your church, with your Christians, so you can pray over them. And she was so pleased that she went out and bought some flowers for us, which was so sweet. And it was just, there was acceptance. And I'd just love you to think, I can also do this. Whatever your skills are, we needed everything we had out there, and everybody needed their skills, didn't they?
Just to finish, because thank you for listening for so long. When we go to places, I always have a panic the day before. What am I doing? And God gets you there, and he does this and this and this, and there's so many things, and you just see him at work. And then I come home and I think, so that was that, and this is this. And then he goes, no. And he often says to me, my mission place now is where I work. And your mission place is where you work. Your mission place might be where you work. It might be where you shop. Our mission place is here as well. And he provided everything we needed for when we needed it. And he will provide you with everything you need when you need it. So the next time you're standing next to somebody and you think, oh, I really feel I need to say to that lady something, do it. God's prompting you to do it. Do it. And, once you start doing that, he'll use you more and more and more. The less there is of us, the more there is of him. Amen?